Hey guys, what's up? Ivo Remo McLean for life, and I'm wrapping now my series on Wesley Snipes movie reviews. And today I'm actually going to review and talk about my favorite movie of his, and of course, today I'm gonna talk about is of course a movie that's like I said, it's a favorite movie of mine. It's actually one of my favorite political thrillers, and it's a movie that I got it just recently, and that's of course Murder at 1600. Yes, I love this movie dearly to death. Came out in 1997, April 18, 1997. Was released from Warner Brothers. I don't understand why this movie was not released on Blu-ray or why it was never on Blu-ray at all. But Murder at 1600, in my opinion, is criminally underrated and one of Wesley Snipes' best films. And in my top 5 favorite movies of his, yes, my top 5 favorite movies. I love this movie dearly, dearly to death. It's, in my opinion, it's a 90s classic political thriller, a classic and criminally underrated film because, yeah, it's criminally underrated. You know, Murder at 1600 stars Wesley Snipes and Diane Lane, and Wesley Snipes' best movie in my opinion. He's a DC cop on the outside. She's a Secret Service agent on the inside, tracking a White House homicide to the first family's front door. Murder at 1600, this address changes all the rules. Murder at 1600, which is a 1997 political thriller, a classic. And yes, I love this movie dearly to death, and I'm glad I actually got it. Yeah, this is actually the UK release, which is titled 15, which is also, like I said, on Trivia IMDb. It's actually 15. It's actually uncut, but the neck break is actually deleted from this DVD. I noticed it, I didn't know. Also, this disc has it has on both sides, there are two versions of the film, in which one of them we have regular, the other one you have a widescreen. On side B, I should watch side B, but I watched side A, which I realized too late. But like I said, directed by Dwight H. Little, who also directed Mark for Death. I reviewed the movie from Steven Seagal. He directed Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And he also directed this movie that I really love to death. Now, Wesley Snipes, he stars a DC homicide cop, Harlan Regis. Now, the studio wasn't actually the first choice, for Wesley Snipes, because Bruce Willis was actually the cast of Harlan Regis, the DC homicide cop, but Bruce Willis withdrew from the project, so Wesley Snipes came on board, and I actually saw, I was just gonna with my history, but Wesley Snipes, he nailed this. The studio was for Wesley Snipes because he was actually, the profiler. He actually fit the character, And yeah, and that's Harlan Regis, played by Wesley Snipes. That's Nina Chance, Secret Service agent with Harlan Regis, and that's of course President Neil. President Jack Neal. But Murder at 1600 is actually a thriller and an action film at the same time. And it's funny that back in 1997 there were four movies that were that surrounded about White House, and there were like four different movies. The Murder at 1600 was one of them, but other 3 movies were Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood, Excessive Power with Craig Sheffer. Yeah, that movie piece of shit. That movie stinks so much. It's such a fucking abomination, garbage movie I've ever seen. And there was also a Shadow Conspiracy with Charlie Sheen. I know that Charlie Sheen and Linda Hamilton said they did not like that film. Linda Hamilton said it was a mediocre film. Charlie Sheen hated his character, so it wasn't that much, but still better than Excessive Power with Craig Sheffer. That movie was abomination, piece of garbage. Whoever directed and wrote that garbage was stupid. It was fucking stupid on cocaine. So horrible. That movie is on YouTube. It's horrible. I hated it. When I saw it, I hated it. But I'll say my opinion, Murder 1600 is better than Excessive Power. And yes, I'll say I like Clint Eastwood, but I'll say better than Absolute Power. Better than Absolute Power. I'll put this movie on above Shadow Conspiracy because it's so good. It's about political thriller, it's about a homicide. Now, my history with Murder 1600. First off, I'm very disappointed that this movie was a box office flop. It holds 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. And not only is criminally underrated, this movie cost $40 million, the budget, cost them $40 million, but only earned $25 million, and I think was in US, opening weekend in USA and Canada, I think was $7 million, if I'm not mistaken. It was $7 million, and made worldwide $25 million. It was a box office flop. It flopped, which I don't understand why. Because this movie is supposed to be a huge hit. I think this movie is supposed to put Wesley Snipes' career more on the top. Lucky Blade did that, but this should actually put him on the top of his career because he acted it so, he nailed the character so well. And yeah, this is my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies that he did. In my top 5 favorite movies. And like I said, the first and the second one is Blade 1 and 2, which I reviewed. The third one is Demolition Man, the poster in the back. And the fourth one is US Marshals, because I saw the VHS first. Now, back in 1997, I remember this movie came out in my country. It was in movie theater. I remember I was waiting. My mom, she was actually by her friends. She was visiting her friends. While I was sitting in the car listening to the radio, there was tons of music that I didn't know at the time because I was only 13 years old at the time. I was a kid. And I remember a radio talk show host was talking about Murder at 1600. And I thought, in the title, it has to be, I thought at the time that this movie was the most successful movie. It was actually a blockbuster hit. I really did believe that because the radio talk show host was talking that time about this film. And I remember years later I actually watched it on VHS tape. But I still cannot believe that this movie was not a blockbuster hit. I still cannot believe it was a hit because this movie was really good. But now, I think it's forgotten, and I think it's definitely people like shit talking about this film. I think this movie got nothing but piss, in my opinion. But Dwight H. Little, I'll say this was my favorite movie that he did. I like Mark for Death, but if you watch my reviews, my top 3 Steven Seagal movies were always Under Siege, About the Law, and Out for Justice. So I'll say Murder at 1600 is better to me than Mark for Death. Especially because Seagal used a few stunt doubles in that movie. In this movie, I did not see stunt doubles for Wesley Snipes. Maybe they were for jump scenes. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, Wesley Snipes nailed the role as Washington D.C. homicide cop, and I just love that. And of course, written was by Wayne Beach and David Hogan. They actually wrote the screenplay by David Beach and Wayne Beach and David Hogan, who wrote the screenplay for this movie, directed by Dwight H. Little. And I just love how they actually did that. Now, the movie talks about a homicide in the White House, a murder at 1600. And there was this young girl, Carla Town, played by Mary Moore. She was found dead by maid in the bathroom. She was found killed, and before she was killed, she had a sex with someone. So Harlan Riggins, played by Wesley Snipes, he's been called on the first scene, and the Secret Service starts meddling the investigation, and Harlan Riggins finds out the hard way. So they assign him, a Secret Service agent to guide him the tour of the White House while he's making a homicide investigation with his partner Dennis Miller. And Nina Chance, she actually is assigned to help him by the investigation, and while the investigation goes to the cover up, it leads them to the son of the president, Jack Neal. It leads them to his son, Kyle Neal, first son Kyle Neal. It leads him right to the to the rules, and he also finds out that Secret Service tries to mess with his investigation. They try to cover up all the evidence, and they try to make him difficult not to crack this case. And Nina Chance is the only one that helps Harlan Regis, by his ongoing investigation in this murder. And I just love how Wesley Snipes, plays the detective with heart. This movie was done with heart. Yes, it was done with heart, and he just was awesome. He was a badass. I mean, he did perfectly. Wesley Snipes perfectly nailed the character, Harlan Regis. And yeah, this movie was filmed in Washington, D.C., but actually, the filmmakers, they make a tour of White House, how it was, how actually was built, with architects, with structure, and they designed perfectly, the White House, and I just love that. And they actually really work hard on this movie. And I still cannot believe how criminally forgotten this movie is, how criminally underrated this movie is. And yes, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, especially political thrillers. I'll put this movie above Absolute Power. I know that movie gets actually a lot of fan base, but I'll say A Murder at 1600 is a film that I really love. And like I said, Harlan Regis, in the open scene we have, this stockbroker or this business poor guy. He wants to shoot himself, and he forgot that there was actually a safety on. And Harlan, he goes and he saved his life. He said he punches him and says they were going to shoot you. He saved the guy's life. That's the introduction into Harlan Regis' character. And why he's a good guy, why he does what he does best. And there was this, like I said, there's a young girl, she's found dead. She actually is found dead in the White House, and Harlan Regis and his partner have been called to investigate this homicide. And he puts, Harlan Regis puts the picture, and the staff, the staff member, Secret Service agent Nick Spikings, played by Daniel Benzali, he orders, Secret Service Nina Chance to guide and help by Harlan Regis' investigation, and more Harlan Regis gets involved in her murder. He finds out how backstabbing Secret Service is, and how they try to cover the tracks. And someone must have done or seen something. And Harlan Regis starts to investigate more, and he finds out that Harlan was planning to leave the town to New York. But more he investigates, the first lead and the first suspect, he finds out that an hour before she was killed, she had a sex with Kyle Jordan, first son, the son of President Jack Jordan. And meantime, President Jack Jordan, he's in the middle crisis with North Korea, and of course, National Security Advisor Alvin Jordan wants that he sends their troops in the North Korea to start war, while Jack Neal is against it, and he's not planning to sacrifice any more lives to make a war. and of course, while of course, while Harold Regis, he tries to find more, about it, and he starts investigating the film. He starts investigating the murder. Nina Chance, she finds the tapes in the storage facility, and she tries to she gets she starts to escape. And that's the same that was in Razor, which I remember. They tried to caught Vanessa Williams in this movie. Nina Chance, she decides that she wants to find out the truth, who killed the girl. She was only 25. She was just a kid, and she steals the evidence, and of course she's been. They try to pursue her, and she escapes, and of course she starts to help Harold Regis. Or there's a scene, when we found out that Harold Regis and everyone that lives in this building are evacuated, and there's this lady who screams at Harold Regis, or he has like the modeling of the war, I think it was Gettysburg, what is the war that he had the modeling in his room. Or there's a guy, he put the surveillance tape, and he escapes, and of course Harold Regis, when he tries to find out who was, who killed this young girl, why she was killed. I love when he puts the picture, says, "Talk to me, Carla, talk to me." I love that. His office, he tries to find out more about it, and he goes to Nina Chan's home, and he screams at her, and it just shows how Wesley Snipes cares about the character. I mean, they fucked up with him with the tax evasions, that fucked up when he went in prison for 3 years. I heard that Victor Salva, he was like, 1 year, 2 years in a prison, while Wesley Snipes for tax evasion, he was longer in prison. That sucks. That shouldn't be. Or no one wants to hire now Wesley Snipes. I would really love to see Wesley Snipes in John Wick Chapter 4, but that won't happen. Because there were rumors that he will be in a movie, but no, they actually they don't want to take him anymore. And I kind of miss, and yes, I'm a fan of Wesley Snipes and Murder at 1600. I just have to show you once again this DVD. I love this movie dearly to death. He's a DC cop on the outside. She's a Secret Service agent on the inside. Tracking White House homicide to the first front door. I mean, this movie should be a hit. Yes, it should be. It should have been a huge hit. This movie should make more money. Not that it only earned $25 million. It does not deserve a Rotten Tomatoes 32%. Now, the more leads, that we actually find out who the killer is. And the first suspect was actually Kyle Neal, the president's first son. And we find out when Harris starts going to the club and starts to investigate him, he finds out that the guy is a womanizer. So he makes him a trap by calling him, by trying to blackmail him, and it shows how he can elude the Secret Service. And of course, when he shows up on the meeting to the blackmailer, it turns out it was Regis. It turns out that it was actually Harlan Regis, and he's the first suspect, but he confesses him, he had an hour sex with her, but he did not kill her. He still cannot believe who, the girl, she was only 25, she was a secretary, and she was just killed. And he every night he goes with that thought, who did that and why, and he's a wrong guy. And they found another guy that supposed to was involved in the death, but the case, the government wants the case to be closed quickly, but Harless believes that there's something else behind the murder, and all the leads brings him to Nick Spikings, Secret Service agent Nick Spikings, which he finds the tape. And Nick Spikings in his office, in his home, he's been eliminated by assassin with a sniper rifle. He has been eliminated, and two assassins tries to eliminate. They try to eliminate Harlan Regis, and of course Harlan Regis kills one of the attackers. Like I said, he fights in the kitchen and he goes in. The neck break is actually been cut, but yeah, he kills the guy and he kills fire on the assassin. The guy escapes the assassin. Excuse me. There's also a scene in which Nina Chance, we find out that she was a great marksman, and they're both being pursued by helicopter, and they leave the car, and she goes and shoots with the car, and there's an explosion, with the gas and the explosion, or she uses, and she aims, the lights in the helicopter, and shoots with one shot. She shoots the light, which I love that scene. The explosion, I love that. But yeah, I just really love this movie to death. Also, there's the scene when you can see explosions, Nina Chance, Harlan Regis, played by Wesley Snipes, and Nina Chance, she's so awesome. Diane Lane was awesome in this movie. Her best role, in my opinion, as Nina Chance. They both work well. So by the finale, when they actually, they got the tapes, they actually found out that that it was actually secret. It was actually National Security Advisor Alan Jordan. He actually ordered the girl to be killed in order to blackmail President Jack Neal to resign from his position as president, in order that Vice President, Gordon Dillon will took over, so he will send the troops to North Korea to start a war, while Jack Neal was against it, and he goes and blackmail Jack Neal to resign as a president, in order to gain control, because he claims that his son killed Carla Town, but Regis finds a new evidence that it was actually a specialist, an assassin hired by Neil Jordan and ordered to kill the girl, to pin the murder on Kyle Neal, in order to blackmail Jack to withdraw his position as a president, so that the Vice President Neal, can take over. So now they have an evidence. They actually, of course, Nick Spikins was murdered in his home, in the living room. He was shot with a sniper. It's kind of similar that was in Lethal Weapon, the first movie. So Harlan Regis and Nina Chance, they both decide to go to the tunnels in the White House. And I actually just love the scenes when they go to the tunnel and assassin fights with Wesley Snipes, and Diane Lane goes and shoots him right in the forehead, which was awesome scene. She was a marksman. She gets arrested, but Harlan Regis, he sneaks as a working man, as a janitor in the White House. And I love the scene when he fights those two Secret Service agents. It shows what he can do, Not much fights like in Blade fight scenes, but he shows what he can do. He goes and kicks those two Secret Service agents. And then, he gets arrested, but he says, that his son is innocent and he didn't do it. And Alvin Johnson, and of course, Alvin Jordan, he did that, that he's been arrested. And of course, president says, I'm still a president, and says arrest him, not him, and Jordan grabs the gun, tries to shoot president, but he gets shot by others, and in a chance, she jumps in front of the bullet and she gets hit in the bullet. So that was kind of awesome. but in a chance she's been survived, and Wesley Snipes and Diane Lane, they work very well, and yeah, Alvin Jordan, he ordered it. He said she was a casualty of war, and Ronnie Cox goes and punches him. He deserves it. She was only a kid, but I just really enjoyed the film. But back in 1997, there's another good thriller, Kiss the Girls with Morgan Freeman, Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood. That I liked the film. But I thought Murder at 1600 was really good, better than Shadow Conspiracy, or even better than that garbage Extreme Executive Power, that garbage shitty movie with Craig Sheffer. Fuck that garbage movie. The guy cannot act. It was a shitty movie. This was entertaining. This is underrated. The music score was by Christopher Young, and yes, I love Christopher Young's music score. I actually read that on trailer there was a different music score, but it was replaced by Christopher Young. So I enjoy Christopher Young's music score, especially in the end of credits or in the opening credits. And I always want to know who the fucking killer was, who killed this girl. And it turns out that the assassin was actually Douglas O'Keefe, he plays assassin John Kerry. He was I think he was a special forces soldier that he was sent by and organized by Alvin Jordan to kill the girl and pin the murder on the president's son, which I actually really loved that. Dwight Little, he directed perfectly this movie. But Wesley Snipes and Diane Lane, they work very well. There was a love scene between Wesley Snipes and Diane Lane. They supposed to kiss each other. They supposed to, to have a romance and to kiss each other. I'm glad it was deleted. I'm glad that scene was deleted. There was no need. I don't want to see a fucking love story in the movie. And I'm glad it was deleted because they don't need to be a fucking couple. They were partners and they worked together. That's it. That's why I think this movie is a classic. There was another scene in the trailer in which Wesley Snipes shows up with helicopter, but that scene lands on the 1600, on the address 1600 in front of White House. But the filmmakers thought it was over the top, so they deleted that scene. They thought that it would be not happening in real life, it would be unrealistic, and it wouldn't happen in real life, so they deleted that scene. There was another scene that also the trailer shows up, in which Nick Spikins, Secret Service agent Nick Spikins says, "You were born to become a chalk outline," and that scene they also deleted because they make like Nicholas Spikins to be to be a villain and the main villain, and that's what filmmakers decide that he's not the main villain. He's actually a honest Secret Service agent. He's opposite Harris Regis. He doesn't like him, and he's opposite of Aaron Regis, and he has his own investigation, and he just doesn't care. He's just opponent to what Aaron Regis represents. Like when the first time Aaron Regis starts to investigate the girl in the White House, he keeps interfering with his investigation, and he becomes rude. And Alvin Jordan, he actually starts helping out the detectives. But that kind of was a cover, in my opinion. Yeah, there are actually a few action scenes, explosions. Diane Lane, I love Diane Lane, this movie. I watched that movie that I hated, was a piece of shit movie, Unfaithful. I hated her in that movie. I hate Richard Gere. Yeah, I hate the guy. He did only two good movies that I liked. Maybe No Mercy was an okay movie, but no, I don't like Richard Gere at all. Rodney Cox, he's also from RoboCop and Total Recall in this movie. Dennis Miller from the Disclosure from Michael Douglas is also in this movie. Daniel Benzali, he's also good in this movie. And Alan Alda, he perfectly nailed as National Security Advisor Alvin Jordan. He was great as villain. He nailed the character. But yeah, once again, the Diane Lane and Wesley Snipes, and Wesley Snipes is Harlan Regis in the explosion, with the helicopter. The explosion, that's actually the disc. I'm just gonna read the back of on the back of this film. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, not your address, but if you're an American, it's your house. It's the White House, home of the president and site of state diners and world shopping decisions. But what if it also the site of a hushed up murder in a room just steps from the Oval Office? Who did it and why? That's what homicide cop Harlan Regis, Wesley Snipes, wants to know. And what you'll discover at Murder at 1600 sweeps you into an exciting mystery thriller packed with suspects, cover-ups, covert agents, direct action sequences, and an overseas crisis that could blow at any instant. Dwight Little, mad for death, rapid fire, direct Snipes, and a top-notch cast featuring Diane Lane, Alan Alda, Daniel Benzali, and Dennis Miller. It's up to Regis to sort through the clues and make sure that killer doesn't get away. It's up to you to make sure this gut-grabbing thriller doesn't get away. And I forgot that Dwight Little, who also did perfectly directed this movie, he directed Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee. I forgot that. But mostly I remember Mark for Death and Halloween 4, the Return Michael Myers, and this movie. And it's my favorite movie Dwight Little directed. He did perfectly direction. I love the music score by Christopher Young. And Christopher Young also did the music score for The Uninvited and for Hellraiser. He also did the music score for this movie. I think there was Hans Zimmer supposed to be the score and he was replaced. I'm not sure. But I thought that these two had a great chemistry. They actually worked well together. I love how they filmed. The film was actually filmed in Washington, D.C. by primary locations were in Toronto, Canada. And like I said, there was a few scenes that they actually did filmed. That they actually filmmakers went to see. They actually went to see the White House so that they could decide how the structure was correctly designed. But that time back in '97, there was a thrillers about political thrillers like Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood, Shadow Conspiracy with Charlie Sheen, and that garbage movie Executive Power. Fuck that movie. But even Bruce Willis, when he left the project, when he withdrew from the character, I would say this movie is better than Striking Distance. Yeah, I reviewed that movie, but I would say it's better than Striking Distance. I'd rather watch this movie, And I also love the taglines, which is awesome taglines. Wesley Snipes with the sunglasses is so awesome, And this is a fantastic film. Yes, it's underrated, phenomenal mystery thriller with action suspense, and it keeps going on, and it's so intense. You try to find out who's the killer and why, who did it and why. Who did it and why. That's what homicide cop Harlan Regis wants to know. And I agree with that. I also love this slipcover for Wesley Snipes. Yes, I love that slipcover. I don't know why this movie is not on Blu-ray. I would love to see region-free Blu-ray with this movie. But I'm fine with the DVD. I didn't know there was actually this disc contains two actually contains a movie on both sides, which is side A has regular version, which means there are two bars and the two black bars, and the side B has widescreen. So I actually watched side B, but I didn't know that that the movie is actually on both the disc. That's actually you flip side the disc, you have you actually have movie on the both sides, which is different. I should watch what side B instead. But yeah, Murder at 1600, fantastic film in my opinion. A 90s classic and criminally underrated. And yeah, this is actually, I'm wrapping up Wesley Snipes reviews, which I'm gonna soon do top 10 reviews of him. And I'm actually planning to explain actually top 11 films. And I'm also going to do my collection, my entire Wesley Snipes collection, which that's what my plans were. But yes, Murder 1600, fantastic film. I still don't understand why this movie is not released on Blu-ray. I mean, by the way, Wesley Snipes worked with Sean Connery and he did Rising Sun. I like Rising Sun a lot, but I put this movie above, above Rising Sun because he actually is the main star and I love this movie dearly to death. So yeah, Murder 1600 is my movie. This is my movie. It's rated there. It's a fantastic mystery suspense thriller. And Wesley Snipes nailed his best performance. He nailed the character. Diane Lane was awesome. She was hot. She was sexy. I love her in this movie. Yes, she's great as in a chance. I love her. I'm glad there's no lost scene in the movie. They cut it out. Filmmakers were fantastic. Dwight Little directed with her this movie. It was a perfect. That's awesome. So yeah, that's my review on Murder at 1600. It's gonna be titled Criminal Underrated because I love this movie dearly to death. Anyway, take care. I'm out. Peace.